The whole village cried because of this, and you will cry too. A very touching real story. In this video, we will tell an incredible yet very touching story about a loyal dog that saved a little girl from certain death. A real story that made a whole village cry. But before we start, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our new stories. In the Kirov region, there is a small village with only 50 houses. The village has a small river on its side and a dense forest that stretches for hundreds of miles. There used to be a little girl named Savata in this village, and she had one friend, a German shepherd called Druzhok, whose name means friend or buddy. Both Savka and Druzhok were 6 years old. They were born on the same day. When the newly born girl was brought from the hospital, her uncle Pasha brought her a puppy as a family gift to celebrate the newborn. The villagers called them the inseparable friends. The girl and the dog were always together. Wherever the girl was, there was Druzhok. On one rainy day, the little girl went outside to play. The night had come and she didn't return home. Unfortunately, Druzhok was not with her. He was chained up all day because of the girl's aunt, who was afraid of him, and she came to visit. The family didn't notice the girl's absence due to their preoccupation with their guests. They only realized she wasn't home around dinner. The family became anxious and scared and began to search for her everywhere near the house. They asked all the villagers about her, but no one had ever seen her except an elderly woman in her 80s. She said she saw her heading into the woods while collecting strawberries, but wasn't sure whether that was the girl or someone similar. The family searched in the woods near the river, yet the little one wasn't found. It was getting dark and raining heavily. The people of the village gathered in the family home to discuss the matter together and try to find a solution to this problem. A search at this time wasn't feasible, so they gathered the tools they'd need, such as batteries, torches, and ropes, and split into teams to begin the search at dawn. All the residents came except the elderly and children. Someone suggested releasing the dog to search for his friend, although now the suggestion wasn't of much use, especially since it's been raining all night. As soon as the dog was released, though, he ran into the woods and disappeared. The rescue volunteers who knew swimming went to search the river and dive into it. Another group went with a family to the forest. Now it's been 4 days since the little girl disappeared, and many volunteers came down with a fever and flu due to being out in the rain. Some of them were even injured during the search. But if they went to the backyard of the family's home, they would find the little girl unconscious next to her dog Druzhok, embracing the dog in her arms, and she appeared very tired. The old woman was the first to see the little girl. She immediately called an ambulance and informed the family and the rest of the villagers, who came running back. The little girl was then taken to the hospital. Her clothes were dirty and there were wounds all over her body, but Druzhok was already dead. His eye was swollen. It seemed as if he'd been bitten. The people of the village finally understood the story when they saw the dog's footprints in the woods, followed by the girl's drag marks. The poor dog promptly fought off a larger animal, then dragged the little girl from the woods to the house to save her. He saw mosquito bites on the little one's arm and even tried licking them, but his strength faded and the girl's touch was the last thing he felt. People were shocked by the dog's heroic and touching behavior. The whole village cried and mourned his passing. The dog was buried in the woods, and the girl's father placed a large gravestone on his grave. The village was very sad about his death, and they were all affected, especially the little girl, who cried for him for a long, long time. The people of the village always visited his grave and placed flowers on it. Really, my friends, sometimes an animal can have a heart warmer than that of a human. Druzhok wasn't just a friend. He was a hero that will always be remembered.